Welcome to episode 2 of trying to find this mystery skater with Tony Hawk. I was able to find some additional photos from this day, with some of them even including the guy that we're trying to find. Now, from these new photos that were discovered, we can now cross off the theory that this guy just came, skated by, and went on with his life. Because we got a shot of him here at the top of the hill. We've got him skateboarding down the hill, so likely he did this multiple times, which could all be super helpful. Now, Tony has reached out to the wife of Bill Epridge, and was told that the man was unidentified at the time of the shoot, so no luck there. But it's important that we lay out the facts. Now, we know that these photos were taken in 1965, but having a more dialed-in time frame will help us make sure that we're looking in the right areas. This issue of Life magazine came out on May 14th, 1965. So we've already trimmed off 7 months from 1965, which means we're left with a window from January to May. Now, we know this was Central Park in New York City. In fact, the exact location on Google Earth, based off of the bridge in the background here, as well as this low-rise here. These photos were taken right here at Pine Bank Arch, facing northwest. That's important to remember. Now, it looks a lot different in 1965, obviously due to the growth of the surrounding trees, but it also looks like they've narrowed the walkway here. And just to confirm, if we zoom out, there should be a low-rise building right here. And then to the left of that, we should have this building with these long corner windows. Bam. This is the exact spot. Now let's look at the park itself. With New York City being in the Northeast, we know they get snowy winters. Now, pulling up historic charts on weather conditions in the year 1965 in New York City, we can see that it was below freezing for a large portion of January and February. And the people in these photos don't seem to be dressed for temperatures below freezing. Some of them are even wearing shorts, t-shirts, and no shoes, telling us that these are warmer temperatures. The trees on the background don't seem to have any leaves on them either. So we can eliminate January and February, leaving us with March, April, and the first 2 weeks in May. Now, looking further into March weather, we only have one day where the temperatures rose to the upper 50s. Now let's look at April's weather. As you can see, already the temperature is starting to warm up, with one day even being 75 degrees in the evening. And all the blue squares on this chart indicate a clear, sunny sky. You can see that these were taken on a dry, sunny day. Now back to that northwest direction that these photos were taken in. We can see that the shadows being casted from the surrounding trees, and even the shadows of the people skateboarding, are being casted to the right pretty heavily, meaning that the sun was shining at an angle from the west. Meaning this wasn't a morning photo shoot. It was likely taken in the evening. Now, my guess are that these photos were taken in the month of April or early May of 1965 during the evening. So we went from all of 1965 to likely the month of April or early May. Now, with that information, I reached out to the Central Park Conservancy as well as the New York City Events Department, asking if they had any records of a skateboard event taking place in April or May of 1965. Now, while waiting to hear back from them, I decided to do research of all of the local newspapers in the New York area from 1965 to see if there's any mention of a skateboard event happening at Central Park, and nothing was advertised. Next, I took these photos and ran them through Photoshop. I wanted to see if I could pull any information from this guy's face. So I created a custom brush and started painting over his sunglasses. I then tweaked the settings, and I was able to see more of his eye features behind the sunglasses. It looks like this guy could be of Asian descent, which will open up another pathway for me to research. Next, Tony and I approached the former editor-in-chief of Life magazine, Bill Shapiro. Now, Bill was the editor-in-chief of the revamp in 2004, so he wasn't there at the time of these photos. But when we spoke to him, he gave us more insight on how the magazine would have been run. Here's what Bill had to say. Life was in many ways the editor's magazine, meaning that many of the ideas came from the editors and were generated in the building, and then photographers were dispatched. My best guess is that a bunch of editors sat around a conference table and someone said something like, "I see these kids on these skateboard things. I think it's a trend. Let's send someone out there to see what's happening." Epridge was a natural choice in some ways, a versatile photographer, so likely they called Epridge and told him to go to Central Park and report back. This supports the theory that these could have been taken in April, with a quick turnaround time so they were published in May. So by Bill's account, that does seem likely it could have happened. Next up, I drove down to San Antonio, Texas, where there's this antique store that has a large selection of Life magazines. I wanted to see if I could find a physical copy. Now, unfortunately, they didn't have this one, so I managed to source it online instead. Reading through the article, they cover 3 locations: Connecticut, Denver, and New York City. Now, for all the coverage in New York City, we only have 2 names in the article. It's from this photo. The woman riding the skateboard is labeled as Estelle Greer. Also labeled is her 10-year-old son, Peter. So with that, I ran a public record search for anybody named Peter Greer between the ages of 67 to 71 from New York. And bam, Peter Greer with relatives Estelle Greer popped up. That's our guy. That's the boy from the magazine. He was there the day of the shoot, and he may know something. So last night I emailed Peter, and he responded within 10 minutes. And here's what he had to say. Be sure to come back in 2 days for more of this search. And please continue to reach out if you find anything from this information. We're now starting to dial this in. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and follow for more fun videos like this, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you guys later.